major breakthrough in U.S.-Cuba relations.
After a half-century of isolation from the island country, America is on its way to reestablishing diplomatic relations, and it may have all started with the freeing of an American prisoner.
Yeah, the Now's Stephen Clark is live in the newsroom with the latest. Stephen.
You know, Cuba has been literally an island of communism, practically within spitting distance of America. Now, today's policy shift isn't likely to change that in the immediate future, much to critics' disdain, but it does open the door to change. Today, a major breakthrough in U.S.-Cuba relations. Alan Gross, locked up in a Cuban prison for 5 years, convicted of espionage, released and home in America now. He was part of a landmark prisoner exchange. The U.S. released 3 Cuban agents convicted of spying on anti-Castro groups in Miami. Gross's release is the start of what could be a major shift in the chilly U.S.-Cuban relations.
I've instructed Secretary Kerry to immediately begin discussions with Cuba to reestablish diplomatic relations that have been severed since January of 1961. Going forward, the United States will reestablish an embassy in Havana.
But critics, including Republican Senator Marco Rubio of Florida, said these moves will not bring democracy to Cuba.
Today, under this president, has opened up relationships with the most brutal dictatorship that this hemisphere has known for the better part of 50 years.
Gross's imprisonment has long been considered a major impediment to any renewed relationships between the U.S. and Cuba. The 65-year-old was sentenced in 2011 to 15 years in prison for bringing telecommunications devices into Cuba to set up internet access at a subcontractor for the U.S. Agency for International Development. But the Cuban government accused him of being a spy. President Barack Obama spoke yesterday with Raul Castro about the policy change and the release of Gross, that talk capping more than a year of high-level talks between the U.S. and Cuba. Glenda, right now we don't know if there's any change in travel restrictions. That will be outlined within the next couple of days. But for Detroiters who love old automobiles, you got to go. That country is full of them. They're still using them. They haven't been able to get new cars there for the most part since the 60s.
Hey, this is a half-century-old situation, Stephen. We wanted to see what Cuban Americans in Metro Detroit think about the president's decision. So the Now's Dave Llewellyn joins us. He was live in Southwest Detroit. And Dave, what are you hearing?
Well, Glenda, very interesting, the comment that you hear. And Cecilia Benedict was born in Cuba in 1962. She emigrated with her family here in 1965 for a better life. Now, her parents didn't speak any English when they arrived here, but they worked hard and eventually bought Armando's Mexican restaurant, which Cecilia now manages along with the Mexican Town Bakery. We listened together today as President Obama announced the change in U.S. policy toward the communist nation. It left Cecilia asking this.
What is the Cuban government going to do to make their citizens' life easier? I mean, is it all dependent on our change? You know, what are they going to change? I can't imagine what my life would be if we had not immigrated here, that we were lucky enough to leave and chose to leave, because a lot of people didn't choose to leave. But I thank my parents for that.
Now, Cecilia still has family members back in Cuba. She traveled there in 2001, and she said upon leaving that she never wanted to go back. Well, as for this change in U.S. policy, she says she won't be on the first plane going to Havana either. For now, we're live in Southwest Detroit. Dave Llewellyn, 7 Action News for the Now, Detroit.